DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective. Your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
Hey everyone, this is Totti again, not Ryan and not Joe yet, but we have Ryan joining right now. Hey Ryan, how you doing?
What up, Toddy? How are you, man?
All good. I had a little time once I set up my old laptop to actually be able to do the stream to whip up a drop for us.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us.
Thought because it's an old laptop, maybe it was in Hungarian or something. And dub it.
It was pre-installed on the laptop, the music. So we have just dropped right into our non-intro start. This is the Key Pass Collective, the audio companion to the Draft Society, yada yada yada. This is our second pod of the week, and we'll aim to do similarly as the fixture congestion continues during the Christmas period. I'll just list out our usual stuff for our listeners and our viewers. The Draft Society is a Premier League draft fantasy site that we have been running for 3 years now. We have consensus ranks, waiver wire articles, sleepers 11 articles, all the stats that you cannot find on the Fantrax page. Useful draft metrics. We have articles and podcasts on how to set up your league and much, much more. If you want to help us grow, there is an inner circle, which is a subscription service that we run. We have weekly updated rest of the season ranks. We have points projections for every game week. We have sortable consensus ranks and pods and extra trackers and articles every week. Ryan, I believe you are doing a double take on Ghost Point Hunters again this week, just like the pod. Can you give us a preview on who is going to be in the second take of the Ghost Point Hunters?
Sure. I don't want to give too much away, but there might possibly be a previously denigrated Arsenal striker come left central mid who had himself a day, which is no surprise since I dropped him everywhere the previous week. He's in there. Take another look at a Brighton forward who previously wasn't ghosting very well, but is the past 2 weeks. I might have somebody from Wolves joining the action, and somebody from... Yes, I would. Somebody, that's the perk of having your own article. And someone from City might be getting the Peter Venkman Award.
I mean, that's not very much surprising, but the surprise is, who is it going to be? Because a lot of Venkman candidates from that City match yesterday.
Yeah, but there was one in particular, a premium asset, who unfortunately I have intimate knowledge of because I roster him in one league. He was the real standout. So unfortunately he gets that designation this week, but hoping he'll bounce back. Not enough to get them off this 4-game skid, but enough to score a few garbage points.
Yeah, let's hope so. So if our listeners, if you want to find out who these cryptic descriptions represent, tune in tomorrow morning, tonight, wherever you are from. If you're subscribed to the Draft Society, then you'll get an email notification when the article drops. And check out the Ghost Point Hunters, one of the main inner circle perks that has been running for a few seasons now, and we have many more perks, and our biggest one yet is the Fantasy Toolkit. All Season Pass and Ultimate Pass subscribers are privy to this amazing tool that is evolving daily, and it incorporates all the data that we provide and we collate on our page, and gives you bespoke, personalized advice based on the actual league that you're in, for your group, for your roster, for your waiver wire. So if you haven't yet, check it out, drop us an email, and ask for a preview of the Fantasy Toolkit. I guarantee that you will not regret it.
Can I put in a real quick a plug for another article? I just wrote, and you might not even know this. I don't know if you've been checking the Slack, but
I was about to preview before I got before I had to do some IT stuff on the
no worries. So if you may remember from the draft kit, put together a quick kind of preview article about the 2 mid-season continental tournaments that are going on, AFCON and the Asia Cup in January, February. I just updated that with a very extensive list of players impacted, as well as those who would benefit from these absences and who kind of to target trade out based on this information. So that should be dropping probably tomorrow, whenever we want to put it out. So yeah, look out for that as well.
So we're talking about Asia Cup and AFCON. We are just approaching Gameweek 16. I believe they start in Gameweek 22, is it?
Officially,
21,
but
22.
21 will likely be affected. I imagine they'll have to report a few days before the tournament starts. So I'm guessing that 21 through 25 are probably in play, potentially. So for players that have to leave early and then make it to the finals, you're probably missing definitely 21 through 25, which is quite a bit.
Yeah, but we knew, as Ryan said, that he had an article in the draft kit. We talked somewhat about this during our early consensus ranks discussions about flagging the players that might leave for these tournaments and then go all the way or go well into the knockout stages. So this should come as no surprise to anyone. But correct me if I'm wrong. The sort of impetus for this article dropping today or before we get into the thick of it with the Christmas schedule is that these so the Game Week 21 is far away enough so that you can actually trade out or construct trades that involve you either buying low on these players or selling these players from your roster while still offering value to anyone getting them in.
Yeah, that's right. If you do it, obviously, a week before the tournament starts, people are going to know about it. They're going to be obviously and rightly skeptical about bringing these people in. If you do it now, before the news is widespread, you have a lot better chance of getting them out before your team is impacted. So yeah, that's absolutely right. Trying to get you ahead of the game, as we do in all of our content.
Are there any players in particular that you would actually flag as maybe buy low on account of them going to the tournaments?
Ooh, I was mostly looking at it the other way, obviously, but
Yeah, obviously that's sort of the main way of thinking about these AFCON and Asia Cup players. But that's why I wanted to flip the script a bit. Like, are there any players? For me, it's mostly the sort of high-profile assets. So
Yeah.
it's the Salahs and the Sons and the Mitomas that you might want to check in with the rosters or the managers if they have cold feet on keeping.
Yeah, but for that type of transaction, it actually does pay off to wait until you're closer to the tournament, and then they kind of get panicked and they're like, oh man, maybe they'll be a bit more amenable to letting them go. So yeah, the Suns, the Salahs, Adingras even. Yeah, you might want to wait until the tournament's so closer.
Maybe we can do a second upgrade closer to the tournament starts, where we can check out the odds on which team is odds on to advance from the group stages and stuff like that. Because when we are closer to the tournaments themselves, then actually missing 2 games as opposed to missing 5 potentially will make a huge difference for these players. And I imagine most of these players that are good are playing for teams that are likely to progress from the group stages. So we're not unless there's a surprise, we're not getting any quick returns, surprise quick returns. But yeah, you never know. Once the bookies odds come out, we can check them out again, and we can make more educated guesses.
Yeah, AFCON is usually so unpredictable. Randomly Ghana could, not make it past the group stage, in which case you have Kudus coming back or someone like that. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, they usually make it pretty far, but we'll see.
Yeah, and we probably know less about the Asia Cup than the AFCON, as for like the less fancy teams' powers and power rankings. So
it seems like that one's a bit more kind of heavyweight. There's a lot of disparity. So like the Japans and Souths usually dominate there. So can't imagine Matoma or Sun are going to be coming back early on that one.
Yeah, that's very likely. Is Australia playing in the Asia Cup? No. I think they are. They should
know. I would assume so. Oh no, I think they're aren't they technically in the what's that weird sub region?
I think
ones with like New Zealand and all of them.
No, they left that because that region, the Oceania or whatever it's called, only gets a playoff berth for the World Cup, and they had left that a few years ago for the Asian Federation, and they're getting the qualifying done through Asia, I think. So they should be there, but we don't have many high-profile Australians in the EPL this time around. No Tim Cahill's this time around, so we can all support them. I
guess
freely. Let's get into it. So today's episode will be shorter one than we usually do. We have listener questions from our Discord channel and from our Twitter post. We'll post some of the questions that appear in the live comments during this stream, and we'll discuss the streamers for next weekend or this weekend at the end. So let's get into it. We have our first from long-time listener, long-time commenter, Ben Chickens. Is Raul the real thing? Can you feel the force? I'll let you start with that, because you have a complicated relationship with Raul Jimenez, I think.
I do indeed. Yeah, the only thing I feel is sell absolutely high. I personally would like to see him crack on. I really would. He's had a rough run of it. He once was a fantastic striker. Part of the storied Wolves late 2018, 2019 squad. But yeah, horrific head injury has kind of set him back quite a bit. It's funny because I looked.
History involves your own team.
Yeah, David Luiz.
Sad head injury.
Did you see the backheeled goal?
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny because everybody's giving him plaudits, rightly so. Cheeky goal, but like, it was only set up by a really bad first touch, which deflected right back into his path. Some terrible defending and goalkeeping. It was Forest in their worst possible form. So I don't think it's happening again for him. I don't even know if you can sell high, just because if anybody that checks the stats is going to see that complete and utter aberration. But I'd be happy to be wrong here, honestly. But regardless, he's usually very goal dependent, and even though Fulham are in form, I just don't see him being a very prolific scorer. A decent streamer, probably. They have this nice run of fixtures.
I was gonna say it's West Ham, Newcastle, who've just been absolutely shafted by Everton. Burnley.
Is it at home?
West Ham is at home, Newcastle is away.
Yeah,
that's not ideal. But then Burnley's at home and then Bournemouth away. So decent fixtures. Not many of those teams will keep a clean sheet against them. But yeah, I'm with you. Test the market, try to get something of value, and then if not, just ride until the wheels fall off, which will unfortunately come soon enough. But yeah, he's nothing more than a forward three. Is probably I don't know if we'll be discussing the Mbomo injury and its implications, but very similar to for me in value to Neil Mopai, who also is on somewhat of a decent run, so maybe swap them around, and we have a late addition to our pod today. Sanji, my man.
Someone stole my logo.
It's your brother in there.
Apparently, my grandfather.
The whole family is in chat. Hey man, how you
How's it
doing?
going, guys? All right, not so bad.
Good.
Cold as
All
hell.
good.
Winter's not been kind, but trying to get through it with some lovely football.
You missed the Raul discussion.
No, I listened to it. I agree with Ryan. I mean, I just have love for him, and same points as Ryan. Like he had that bad injury, but yeah, sell high. Fixtures are decent. I mean, if you own, like try and get some money for it. But I'm not. Unfortunately, I don't have Ryan skills in wheeling and dealing assets out for money every game week. So, but yeah,
Do you have him?
good advice. No, not anymore. Come on, man. I've got the Burnley striker. Why would I have the Fulham one?
It's hard to tell these days.
Got to put at least on at least one of those bottom 3 teams. One of them might come good. So
I might be on the topic of shit strikers and shit teams. I might be parting with my forward one.
he scored well this week though, 8.5 or
did.
something.
Yeah,
He
man.
did, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I sent a message to our group chat. I was kicking myself when I saw that Willian got the assist on one of the goals for Fulham, and I started Ayew instead of Willian. But then I checked that Ayew still scored better without an attacking return. So yeah, I think this is a good a nice little farewell. We had a good run. He got me through. I'm looking at Gameweek16, currently top of my home league, and Jordan Ayew, forward one after draft day, actually had a huge part in me getting there. But probably with that Palace run looming, probably the end of the road for our storied relationship.
Goodbye, sweet prince.
Yeah, exactly. So our next question is: rate the following mid. 8 stars, 5 double-digit games, double digits against Villa, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Mainly ghosts, 2 attacking returns. You all know who this is.
Yeah. I think I know who it was. I think this got posted in our Discord too.
Ryan, do you have a guess on who this is?
Oh, can I give him hints?
You can give him.
I at first thought it was Doughty, but
He played for both
he has more,
Chelsea
yeah.
and Everton.
Close.
Oh God,
close.
Is it?
not Ross.
It's Rostaffer.
Double digits against Villa. Wow. Oh God. I mean,
Genie has him top 50 overall.
yeah. I mean, he had a good day on that bet, and Rodri's I think gonna miss out based off of attrition. He's gonna play every 5th game with his yellow card. Now that they finally discovered that they're allowed to give him yellow cards, he's not going to play more than 20 games a season.
I mean, had they discovered that earlier, Fernandinho would not have been a viable Premier League player.
Yeah, and some other teams would have won some Premier League titles, but yeah, I'm glad they're doing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we rate?
So,
What's a good way of rating? Mid 3 through 5. I don't know how I ranked him.
I think he is still nothing more than mid 3, 4.
I say mid 4.
Mid 3 and 4. It's for me, it's mainly his ability to stay fit and play games. Because if he it will be too late for me to start believing in his ability to stay fit. But if he actually stays fit and plays upwards of 75% of the rest of the games, he's a mid 3 for sure. I think he's getting in the action on set pieces. He's getting into good positions. We know that he likes to shoot. So yeah. I think he's definitely a must roster. And probably seeing his double digits against Villa, Liverpool, and Arsenal, probably
He's definitely not worth being on the wire.
yeah, and probably one that you should start most game weeks.
Two of those
Is it just me, or
double-digit
you're cutting
games-
out, Toddy?
No, I think he's fine. He's fine for me. Two of those double-digit
Oh, it
games
must be muted.
were home games as well. Are we taking that into consideration? Because like Luton are very different home and away, right?
Yeah, it's a strange one. Drafted thoughts when we were thinking about Luton's home form, and this had been like storied even before the season. Drafted thoughts poured some very cold water on it, saying that they actually had a worse home record last season in the Championship than an away record. And then, lo and behold, they are doing it at home in the Premier League. So yeah, I think we should.
Which makes perfect sense,
if-
right? It's a small ground. It's a weird one, tricky place to go.
Yeah, and I think it's not as pronounced as Forest, maybe, but it's definitely picking up pace. We need to probably see a few more games of different value in home and away spread, but yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on for most Luton assets, including Barkley.
And I think like this game I heard as well, he was playing a deeper playmaking role as well. So I don't know if that also kind of explains why his points are more spread out. It's not just like key passes, just attacking sort of profile, right? He's getting defensive points as well. Like you're seeing him get clearances, successful dribbles, aerials as well. Like I feel like there's a different side to Barkley that we're seeing as well, to the one that we kind of, I guess, grew up loving fantasy football with. So,
do we start him against City this weekend?
home game.
Yeah,
Rodri's back though.
I mean,
Like City haven't had a win in 4 games. I'm sure they're gonna try something. Like Pep might do something different. I don't know. It's a tough one.
I would probably start him, but not expect more than 4 points. Like I'd start him in my mid-5 spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect because like at that point of the game week, it's Sunday.
yeah, he's not a definite bench, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I would look to start someone else, obviously, and there's gonna be a fair few streamers that I'd much rather start than him, but I wouldn't drop him or I wouldn't like feel bad about starting him in my mid-5 spot if the other options are like Luton forwards or like Palace defenders or something like that. Yes, let's move on.
Yeah.
Robbie of Draft Society fame asks, is Iwobi finally back to his Everton form and value? Sanji?
It's a tough one. Like I generally thought like a few weeks ago, Fulham were like probably one of the relegation candidates, and I don't know if like the results that they've had is also due to I mean the teams that they played. Like Forest, like things are, I don't know, something's up at Forest. Like maybe we can touch on that a bit later, but I thought that 5-0 was very unexpected. Then they came up against Alisson-less Liverpool. And then before that, home to Wolves on a Monday night. Like that one's always it's a weird fixture, like Monday night or evening fixtures and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like the thing is, I have Iwobi in like one of my dynasty leagues, and like he's slowly had started to show signs. Like I think it was against Brighton and United back at the start of November. Like he was just under 10 points per game and stuff like that. But I don't know. I need to see a couple more games and be sure that he's actually, going to start every game, because he didn't finish the 90 minutes last two games, and I know it's like a tough week with like back-to-back games and stuff like that, so maybe that's a reason. But I would have expected more. They scored 3 goals and he only got 3 points versus Liverpool. Like I'm still skeptical. I don't know.
Ryan, you were a fan, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was when I drafted him in the freaking 5th round. And yeah, has a very prototypical Iwobi performance. I think it was game week 1. He got like 13.5 ghosts based on nothing, which is exactly what I wanted and was expecting. And then he goes to Fulham and doesn't start for a month. I drop him, and of course now he's finding form. Yeah, I don't think he's a different player than I think his Everton days, which is not necessarily bad or good. I think he's got more upside in terms of probably goals, but I don't think his ghosts are going to be as consistent as they were under Dyche, where he's just constantly pumping in crosses and whatnot. So he's a tricky one. Plus he has AFCON to contend with as well, I think with Nigeria. So yeah, I think he's in between, and I think if he stays fit, he's going to have he's going to be a fixture in this team. So I wish I still had him, but I think rate him as highly as at Everton. He's going to be a bit more boom or bust, which has its advantages and disadvantages. So
we have a question from the chat. Iwobi versus Willian rest of the season.
ooh,
I think I'd
I'd
take
give
William. Penalties.
I give the slight edge to Willian just because he's if you took out AFCON, I'd probably give Willie Iwobi the slight edge. But with penalties and AFCON coming up, I guess Willie.
Yeah.
But very close.
For me, obviously the AFCON stuff is disturbing, or at least gives one thought. It's less cut and dry for me with the positional difference. Like Iwobi as a mid it's just an extra something, whereas the likes of Willian as forward are, I wouldn't say they're a dime a dozen, but we seem to have like the sort of meh tier of forwards is quite big this season. So after the premier forwards comes like a smaller tier of non-nailed on but potentially premium forwards, and then there is a huge amalgam of like meh forwards that are just good enough not to be a drop on a more difficult fixture run, but and could come up with like 20-point games, but usually only do every 5 games or something like that. Like the Iwobis, the Ayus, the Evan Fergusons, the Rasmus Højlunds, stuff like that. So they're all pretty similar to me, and that's my issue. Whereas Iwobi, while scoring similarly, sits in a very different situation with midfielders, because I think that the tier where you would have midfielders who start and have a decent floor and a potential high upside is much shallower than the aforementioned forward pool.
That's a really good point. I have Willian in 2 leagues, and I think he's like my forward 4, forward 5. It's like I don't know when to start him. He's not in my top 3. I really want to trade him, but just for positional value for a mid, but I don't seem to get any takers. But he's way too good to be dropped, so he's providing some really tricky conundrums for my 2 rosters.
Agreed. And that's why I am potentially leaning Iwobi on this one.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Let's move. I have Shaw, Dalot, and Maguire all goes well, but it still doesn't sit right starting all 3. Would you roll them all out each week, or look to trade one out? If so, which?
Probably start trading with Dalot.
Yeah, I think Dalot is the one that potentially loses his spots.
This is like one of those fuck, marry, kill questions,
Yeah.
right? I think Maguire you have to keep and start, right? I don't think he's going anywhere. I wouldn't expect it, unless there's a change in manager or whatever. But as terrible as United fans like to describe how their season's going, all of a sudden, they're like 3 points behind Man City. So I don't think Ten Hag is going to go anywhere. I think Maguire will be as nailed as ever and go back to being a defender too, arguably.
Yeah,
position.
Maguire and Shaw, I wouldn't mind running out every week, the 2 of
Yeah.
them. It's not sexy. It's not something that I want to do. But if I'm in this position, as from Dalda is, then yeah, trade the low and keep running out the other 2.
Or trade Shaw as well. Like, I don't think he has the set pieces since he's been back. Maybe I'm wrong and missed that, but that was like the one great aspect to his game like a season or so ago. So I mean, trade either one of those, keep Mags.
Yeah, I know you can't relate, Ryan, but do you have some thoughts on Man United assets?
Yeah, man, it's tricky because they're always obviously my blind spot. But I always had a somewhat of a soft spot for Dalot just because he ghosted out of his mind. So he was on paper, I think, might have the most upside. I haven't tracked his performances this year. I don't know if he's keeping it.
He's been very hot and cold.
Yeah. So, yeah, if that's the case and he's not as nailed on, obviously with AWB back, Shaw's injury issues are well known. The weirdest and probably worst part is that Maguire is probably the most stable asset of these 3. So, yeah, that's a really tough one. I think I'd probably trade it or offer them all out and see what I got for them and just take the best offer because I think they're very kind of interchangeable for different reasons.
Yeah, I sold the low for 15 fab, and although he started and played decently in the games following the trade, I still feel good about that. Like I know I can use the 15 fab better than I would have used Dalot. So.
Ryan, what's that logo behind you?
It's the inner circle logo.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. What is the inner circle, Ryan?
That was very smooth.
Yes. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Toddy went out through all of the Bennies, so don't want to provide our own ads in our own podcast, but appreciate the opportunity.
Yep. Let's move. Frog Toga asks, is Olise a sell high candidate after his first 3 games back? to bring in a theme from last pod, if you include him in a 2-for-1, what does that look like? He ghosted out of his absolute mind. I was facing him in my home league this week. He got 17 ghosts.
I mean, he's the only creative outlet and taking all sets. So like, he's not a sell high for me. I think he can't buy low because he's back fit and he's, like you said, ghosting. He had a bad midweek performance, so that was, I thought, a very brief period in which you could potentially buy low. But nah, he's a hold for me, even though I do like 2-for-1s. But I guess given the injury concerns and the fact that Palos are horrible now, if you're able to get a top 15 asset for him, then obviously
I
do
think
that.
the Frog Toga's main concern is this upcoming schedule. Brace yourself. Liverpool, Man City, Brighton, Chelsea, Brentford, Arsenal, and that brings them up to the 20th of January. I'd still start him against any one of those.
Yeah, I mean, he's still gonna ghost. They also usually play really well versus City. And I'm not scared about Brighton and Brentford.
Or Chelsea.
Out of that, yeah, and yeah, I forgot about Chelsea. Definitely not Chelsea. Yeah, Barkley showed that you can even score against Arsenal. So like that run of fixtures doesn't really bother me. If you can convince somebody that it does, then you might be able to bring him in. But yeah, I wouldn't sell high. I think I'd hold him.
Yeah, if anything, then you can maybe buy low despite the ghosting performances. If someone's worried about that schedule, maybe you can buy low. The interesting thing, and I don't think we have enough data even from last season to sort of come up with an answer on that, is that if and when Eze is back, what that attack would look like and how the distribution of ghost points will fall. But I think that's such an unknown at this point that you can't base your potential trade decisions on such a big unknown. So yeah, he's a hold. Okay, let's move. Our video readers can see that I've added a thread about starting players from the bench. This is Joao Pedro, the first ever player who should only be played when he's benched and never when he starts. That was the original question from Draft Pie. 5 starts, 1 double-digit return, and that's 6.3 points per start, and 10 sub-appearances with 4 double-digit returns, and then 8.55 points per bench. That is a new metric that we might need to bring on, the useful draft metrics. And he has yet to be an unused sub. That's an interesting one. And then
Wow.
friend of the pod, drafting for upside, Zach, chimes in on Twitter with mentioning that Darwin is producing similar off the bench numbers as Joao Pedro. What do you guys think? We had some interesting discussions on the same subjects over the weekend in our Draft Society group chat as well.
Yeah, can we kind of talked about this on the last pod as well, I think.
Yeah.
But we're at the point of the season where people are kind of struggling for starting 11s. So when you're at this point, I think you can take the risk with starting any of these guys off the bench, man. Like right now, one of my leagues, my whole bench is just injured players that I can't really drop. We're talking the likes of Eze, Jota, that sort of stuff. Jensen as well, Matthias Jensen. So if I was a João Pedro owner, yeah, I'm just gonna start and just enjoy the football. Just try to hope things swing your way. Like football's random, man. JP could easily come on as a sub another game. He's on penalties. Like you could easily bang. Like
Yeah, but I wouldn't like. I appreciate the irony on the less productive outings when he starts, but I wouldn't consider benching him when he starts.
no, like let's not try to play with fire. Like
I wish I would have.
Yeah, I mean, true that.
I have him and Adingra, and I've been playing the one that starts, and yeah, I've gotten, I think, it wrong. So yeah, Dingra had 12 this week, and João Pedro had 5. And then, yeah, obviously when João comes from the bench and gets returns, he outscores Dingra. But yeah, he's a nightmare. But I think with going back to the AFCON conversation with Adingra and Matoma gone, he has to start more games, and you would think that he could, during that time, figure out a way to score well while he's starting.
So, the thing is, we keep coming up with logical ways of him going to start, and I'm sure there'll be some way that he's still going to get benched in a random game.
I mean, yeah, I think so too. But it's not a lock that he's going to start every game. But like, the odds go up.
Yeah, and don't forget that potentially January means that Enciso is back too, which will complicate things at Brighton. And who knows, maybe January the 1st they come up with a random Ecuadorian or Bolivian who will come in the team and start and outscore everyone. So it's Brighton. It's a shit show for nailed on assets. That said, I think João Pedro will have his time in the sun, and he will have a run that will make people who are holding him be glad that they did. Our next question is from Draft Espresso. We'll know a little more about this today, but what to do with Harrison? Ceiling is good, ghosts are meh, and the floor is literally 0. Yeah, we had Joe. I think Joe is only one of us who has him in our Draft Society staff chat, and he has been, how should I put this, vocal about his issues with one Jack Harrison.
I think you gotta try and trade him on a high. Did he get an attack and return in the 3-0 win?
He had a good game today.
He had no attacking return, but 12 points.
He should have. I swear he had that assist for the second goal.
For the McNeil
my eyes
goal.
did not deceive me.
Or whatever.
No, McNeil got the assist instead of Harrison, and I swear to God it was Harrison. It's weird. It's
was that
really
for the
odd.
Ducouré goal?
Yeah.
I think that was the Ducouré. Yeah. So McNeil, I thought McNeil dummied it. Actually, he must have like accidentally gotten a flick on it because it went through his in front of him at least while he was in the box as well. So it's a fluke assist. But yeah, Harrison. See, no, that's the thing though. Like, okay, Harrison, would he be like a mid 2, mid 3?
Mid 2, well, mid 3.
Mid 3, right?
Would you?
Because you're assuming Ducouré and McNeil probably take most of the points from that midfield.
So who would you rather, Ross Barkley or Jack Harrison?
Harrison. It's a better team.
Yeah, probably Harrison too.
But no ghosts. Like today, obviously.
Other than today.
Yeah, they were great and they demolished Newcastle. But Newcastle had a really, really bad off day.
Man, they're just tired, yo. They're out of players. Like, they're in way too many competitions. Like, It's brutal. They're going through a brutal time. Like today, the two of the goals that they conceded was just Trippier's sloppy mistakes, and he's like been one of their best players for the last few weeks. So yeah, they just look exhausted, man.
They need to bench him for Young Hall,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
preferably.
But I mean Harrison, like I think I'd still hold him, but if you can trade him high, maybe this might be the highest. Like I wouldn't expect him to hit or to have the same ceiling, I guess, as Doucouré and McNeil.
Yeah, definitely is the third best Everton mid since Garner fell off the face of the earth.
Well, I mean, Garner missed out tonight because of illness as well, right? But he last 2 games he kind of ghosted okay, no?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think like last game
Yeah,
he got 9.
got like
9.5 or
9.5.
something like that. Yeah. So like he still has a bit of the set pieces and stuff like that. So I mean Garner, I still think like decent mid 4, mid 5 range. But yeah, I think trade high on Jack if you can.
Yeah, we have another Everton question from our listener. I am Choppy from Korea. Welcome to
That's
the
a great name, by the way.
stream. Abdoulaye Doucouré, is he a sell high after his goal today? If so, who would you be targeting? If not, then why not? What do you think?
I'd say he's
keep
not a sell high. I think you can. The sell high opportunities are mostly reserved for guys with name value, and Doucouré doesn't have it. So, despite his numbers, he still doesn't have the street cred to get a sell high over the line. So, I would just hold him and just enjoy.
It's a shame that he doesn't have the street cred because he just quietly scores points like every season. Like right now, I think he's the 12th best midfielder for the season. I mean, if you could trade high, like you'd probably try and go for someone just around his area, right? And you're looking at the likes of Douglas Luiz, Kulusevski, Pascal Gross, Mitoma, Odegaard, Gibbs White, Eze, who's injured at the moment.
I'd still probably trade him for Pascal Gross, and obviously Eze and Mitoma, but like Douglas Luiz seems like a very similar player to Doucouré without the set pieces, but like very similar role and similar points too. Yes.
Douglas Luiz has more avenues to points, though, no? Pens, set pieces.
Yeah, definitely. So you would trade Doucouré out for Douglas Luiz?
Yeah, I think I would. I'm a Dewey owner. He's been fine. Like I was worried earlier on in the season. Like he was dropping 3 to 6 points every now and then, but now he's starting to come into, I don't know, his more evolved self. I don't know, Ryan. You share a different opinion? You keep Doucouré?
I think I probably would. It's close, but yeah, I just feel like Doucouré probably has more upside. But even though Luiz has the sets, which is always really nice, and he probably should have had a goal against City. To be fair,
Yeah, he hit the post.
Yeah. Hit the post. Yeah.
We have a question from your grandpa, Brisbane Brando. Would you do Mbomo for Doucouré?
I'd keep Doucouré.
Yeah, there is definitely
Injury in AFCON just
enough to be nervous about Mbomo. Injury, Gameweek 18 blank, and then AFCON, and then potentially Tony back after AFCON is enough of a of a concern to try to trade him out. Obviously, before the injury would have been more ideal, but yeah, you can look for the market there. So you would trade out a Bomo for Decore, Ryan?
Yeah.
How high can you go with him and Buemo though? Do you think?
I don't think
Not
you
very.
can go much higher than Decore. Yeah, but potentially missing close to 10 game weeks is a huge bummer.
Would you rather take Fab or player?
Depends on the league's Fab situation. Like if the Fab that I got me to like mid-table in the Fab table, then no, I'd rather a player. But if it got me like to a
Quasi-monopoly.
distant- yeah, either a monopoly or close to a monopoly, or with a 10+ point cushion to on top of the Fab standings, then I would probably consider Fab. Again, there's not much buzz yet about transfers, but there is always one or two that deserve or seem to deserve spending all the Fab.
Weghorst.
Oh,
For
he's
every
coming back.
Weghorst and Higuain, there is Bruno Fernandes. Maybe for every Weghorst, Higuain, and some other shit player. So I think maybe a 3-for-1 spread on the good January signings to bad January signings. But there is value to be had. I think we can all sort of remember some decent January ins. Aubameyang, I seem to recall, was a good get in January.
Kulusevski.
Tielemans, Harvey Barnes when he came back first to Leicester. So yeah, there's definitely some decent chance. Maybe not the high profile ones, but sort of the mid range ones. One, and I don't want to go on a tangent on this, but one decent tactic with certain situations of Fab is that if you have the most Fab, you could actually, and there is not much Fab left in the pool, then you could actually make the informed decision of going for the big name player, so that the guy who has the second most Fab, who will inevitably put in a safety bid of of all of his Fab, so that he keeps you honest by having you put up all your Fab. Let him take him and spend all his Fab, and then you can get a big step closer to Fab Monopoly, which, if you have the chance, you should definitely go for. Let's move. Value-added fan tracks. This is a comment from our Inner Circle Discord. If you are an Inner Circle member with any of our passes, monthly, season, or ultimate pass, you can find the way to join our Discord in the original sign-up email that you got when you signed up. If you can't find that email, then DM us either on the Draft Society Twitter or the Key Pass Collective Twitter or any of our Twitter handles, or send us an email and we'll hook you up to join the Discord. There are a bunch of sub-channels that are dedicated to polls, trade discussions, some league discussions, and so on. So the question is, it's a theoretical question from Value-Added Fan Tracks. Your first pick, you can't pick another player from that position and have to stream the remainder of players for that position every week. who you're picking first. For example, if you pick Salah in your first round, then you cannot draft another forward, and you have to stream the remaining forwards every week. What player or what position do you guys take?
I mean, it's basically another question that comes down to which position you think is easiest for streaming, which historically, as we all know, is usually defenders, although it's trickier now. So based off of that, you'd probably take Trent or Trippier first pick and stream the rest, because they're harder. Good ones are hard to find, and the other ones are easy to stream. So yeah, as we mentioned, the midfield is the hardest, I think, position to stream, probably at this point. So yeah, probably pick defender and either Trent or Trippier.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, if it's the easiest to stream, isn't there an argument to be made that you could maybe go somewhere else, guaranteed like top assets in the game?
Yeah, but you're only guaranteed the top asset, and you're not able to draft a forward.
From I get that, but like
round 2,
let's say,
4, 5, whatever.
but my understanding is as well as like, okay, let's say I pick Holland as my only pick that I can't draft for that position again. Like, there's a very rare chance that you actually get 2 top forwards, right, in your actual draft.
I think it comes down to how you navigate round 2 to 10, maybe, or 2 to 12, because if you can find value in any position in rounds 2 to 12, then you should pick the player or the position that you find the least value for in that range in the draft, because I think, yeah, you're very unlikely to get 2 forwards, but you're definitely getting better forwards in rounds 2 to 12 than you're getting defenders, right?
Fair. I mean, like kind of along these notes, like, what would you say in terms of like draft round or whatever, one of the best assets that you've gotten? I think for Ryan, I can speak for you easily, because in our draft you got Alvarez, right, round 4. I think would have been one of your best like value based on round that you've chosen. Totti, what about you?
This season, I only have like a few players left from draft day.
It's been a brutal season, boy.
Maybe Tarkowski in round 6, something like that.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, I've done a few high profile trades so that I don't have any players from rounds. I only have Mitoma, who I drafted round 2, which seems a bit high now. Yeah, I drafted Tarkowski round 6, so I think that's probably the best value player that I still have on my roster from draft day.
March round 3, end of round 3 was awesome.
Looking very good. Yeah.
So was Madison at 10 as well. Jesus, it's a wonder. It's some of the best managing I've done, losing those 2 and still freaking competing.
Yeah,
it's rough out here.
So Habs, I think probably explained my point a lot better than I was trying to.
I was thinking about that too. That's a great point.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that that is the one position that you're allowed to play minimum 1.
So you don't have to stream others.
Yeah. So like you can go Salah, Holland, and then just stream everyone else, worry about everything else throughout the game week, right?
So, yeah. Fantrax Fox drafted Doucouré round 10, which is
that's a steal.
Steal and a half.
Yeah, prior to the injury, Neto in round 9 was up there.
Yeah.
Neto. Even like I think even with the injury, he's due back in a week, maybe 2.
Yeah, it could turn out to still be that. Yeah.
Let's move. I think these last few ones are a bit more meta. What are some lessons in FPL that can also be applied in everyday life? Also, is Ryan Christie for real? we can knock the second one out pretty easily. Yes, Ryan Christie for real. I've just checked my rival's scores in my home league, and the teams are lined up so that Ryan Christie is in front of or on the other side of Cole Palmer, and they got the same amount of points with Cole Palmer scoring a goal. So yeah, Ryan Christie is real. And you were able to pick him up a few weeks ago, even, I think.
Yeah, I got him for one fab, I think 2 weeks ago. And then I tried to trade him to Sanji, and he said no. So tough luck.
What were you asking?
He's a weird one. JBG.
Goodmanson.
Yeah, just because I wanted him for that week.
No. Sanji.
Yeah. I didn't expect the benchings, man. JBG was doing the biz, but it's one of those calls. I think I got a bit unlucky. So
Christie was coming off like a string of like 4-pointers as well. Before the last 2 weeks where he's done really well. But I watched that Bournemouth Palace game. Yeah, he passed the eye test, picking up defensive stats, and also had a dominance on set pieces and was getting forward. So yeah, I was very enthused by that. So definitely a ride it to the wheels fall off kind of thing right now with Christie.
What about the lessons and life lessons?
I'd say think ahead and just try not to take things so seriously. Which I don't do a good job of, I know.
I was gonna ask.
Anybody in a group chat with me would know that I don't follow that whatsoever.
Neither in FPL or in real life.
Yes.
For me, it's definitely sort of interpersonal relationships or interpersonal. Don't want to sound nefarious, but like schemes that I honed trying to trade, and those sort of I see them pop up from time to time in my regular life when I try to talk to my colleagues and try to get them to do something.
I hope they don't listen to the stream.
Fortunately, none of them speak English, so even if they listen, then they wouldn't understand.
I think first thing that comes to mind for me is every day it's like game weeks and fantasy compared to days in real life. Some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. Same thing with game weeks. But at the end of the day, you still gotta brush yourself off and move on to the next one, right? You just keep moving forward, keep trying, and then after a while you kind of do a bit of reflection as well. See how far you've come, see how you've kind of, I guess, same way how you've changed in life, how your squad has changed in fantasy, and just try to, talk to people around you as well. I think having a sounding board as well is important, both in fantasy and in real life. Use your network, man. Speak to your friends, WhatsApp chats, group chats, Discords. Come join the Discord, guys.
You're just a plugging machine today, Sanji.
I mean,
you really are.
I'm earning my dollars, yo. So
Yeah. Also, plugging machine could be a good nickname for you. And we are going even more meta. How do we get a trade-afraid league to become trade-friendly? My competitive league is petrified of trading. I have been the only one to pull off 2 or 3 trades over the last 4 years. This is a good one.
That is a good question, and one we face probably in a lot of our leagues.
I think it depends a bit on the relationships between the managers, because if it's like in real life mates, I can see it's become somewhat of a theme in my home league as well, but we've had a period of some alternative rules on trading, which I'd already told you guys, but I think I've said this on a few streams back. So we had a rule that whenever a trade was agreed on, it had to be posted in the group chat, and there was a 24-hour period when anyone who was not involved in the trade was able to make an offer for either side of the trade, and if the owner decided to take a better offer, then they were able to get a better offer.
How's that working out?
We have actually it was working out fine. It made the number of trades go down a bit, like in a 7-year stretch, and we have actually this year decided that we are mature enough to sort of not follow that rule anymore. So this year we have free-for-all trading, and there haven't been many any egregious ones, and there has been an uptick in trading. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to what would you do, and I've tried to adapt that position in trading, that just get the trades done. You don't have to win every trade.
That sounds a bit like an auction situation.
It is. It's like, I think it doesn't necessarily sort of get more trades done. It's a safety net for those that you know that there are, like, in every league there are managers who are less active in trading and more passive. So you message them, they answer, they discuss, but they're not gonna do the due diligence of then going round to other managers asking whether someone else would give more for their players. Whereas, and they're more getting sort of passively made. They're being made to trade somewhat, and this system allows them to receive other offers without them having to go around and ask everyone in DMs. What about you guys? How would you try to get more trades going? Is there would a trade bonus, like a fab bonus, help, you think?
How would that work? Like, you would award a certain amount of fab for the guy who trades the most, or
Either, or you get, like, you award 2 or 3 fab to both parties of a trade every time they do a trade.
it doesn't seem fair to the rest of the league. I
Yeah,
get the
I
spirit
feel like
of
that
it, but
caused drama.
yeah,
I
the-
mean, it's
the answer is a bad one. It's just like there's not much you can do other than create a chat, cultivate relationships. Yeah, that's really it. Some people like to trade, some don't, and if you know each other, you're usually more amenable to trading.
also, I think getting people to think about player value on their own helps, because as we can see in our own consensus ranks, we have very different valuations for different players, and those player valuation anomalies are the ones that create the easiest trade possibilities. Like if I value a player more than you, then it opens a window for a trade. And if everyone in the league is going based on some outside rankings, be it Fantrax, be it our own Draft Society ranks, whatever, then the managers will be valuing players very similarly, meaning there's no wiggle room to exploit these differences of opinions, which people should definitely have their own difference of opinions. Yes, everyone's nodding. They are just not realizing that this stream actually will go out in audio as well.
Yeah, no, fair. I'm just like trying to think of different ways you could maybe start conversations around it. Like, I would say, like, maybe run polls in your chats, your groups, and stuff like that. But you don't want to be the person that is like constantly posting polls about trades. Not everyone is a fan of that as well. Unless you just start sending out trades like every game week you offering, you be that one person, take it upon yourself, and just send out random trades, be it fab, be it player to player, and maybe that kind of stirs something up, like a thought or two in people's minds. But it's hard to convince people to change their ways, because like I think like in Fantrax you meet so many different profiles of managers, right? People that wheel and deal, people that just are happy, content with who they have, and use the waiver pool to the best of their ability. So yeah, I don't know, that's I think we're going down like the psychology of Fantrax and everything like that, and that could be a whole pod on its own.
Yeah, I think one thing also that we had already talked about is a no dickhead policy in trading. Like if you are certain that due diligence has gone into a trade and both parties are happy with a trade that is happening, then not berating the person who gave away a shit ton of value as you think about it, then encourages people to be more amenable to actually doing some trades, because it actually is a thing.
That's
like,
tough.
It is tough, but I've had conversations with my home league mates, and some people actually said that they are I think afraid to trade is a bit on the nose, but yeah, and not because of losing value, because of the abuse they get from other league mates after a potentially non equal value trade is done.
But you know how infuriating it is when one of your rivals gets an unfair advantage by taking advantage of some poor sap, and so they strengthen their squad not based off of anything other than just fleecing somebody. And I think it's
I mean there are
I think it's okay to call that out. Using the trade calculator is a good one. I think you can't. I think I disagree with it half the time, but you can't get anything over the line that's egregious based off of that.
Yeah, it still has some kinks, and it will never be perfect, but it's something that will help you not do a really shit trade. And it's similar to like doing draft answers, sending them a DM and having your potential trade crowdsourced, using the Discord channel, our inner circle polls channel to see where the inner circle members are at, engaging in discussions with people who are not in your league in that certain league to gauge value on a trade. It just underlines that the more research, the more engagement you do, the better the experience will be. And the final one. I'm curious if you all have opinions on team names in general. Do you appreciate a solid player pun? Is it better to stick with the same thing year after year or switch it up? We have two opposite sides of this discussion. We have Ryan, who has been a mainstay and has had Cheeky Nando's Football Club since
2015.
Yeah, since CNFC's inception. I bet there's a plaque somewhere in a shady pub.
An abandoned Nando's store, actually. But yeah, I prefer that. The team puns come and go and change, but yeah, I like coming up with a brand and sticking with it. But yeah, whatever is gonna make you have fun with it. I'm not, a stickler for it, even though I prefer the former.
What about you, Sanji? You're a pun man?
I mean, when I first started, I think I did have puns here and there, but now I save my puns for my pod names. If anyone follows our pod, they would see all the puns every single game week. Now just use the same thing like Ryan said. The brand Banter Boys is now just my name everywhere in all my leagues. Yeah.
Yeah, I use both. I had in the community league, I've had like a very bland Totti's Legion or something like that since the start, which is like I understand that it's not good, but it's what it is. I like my home league team name, which is a quote from Thomas Frank from last season. Good on paper, shit on grass. And it's sort of has my team written all over it. Usually, we have I think it's Az from Japan who does or pubs with Hab says this, and maybe they're in the same league together. Few of us have branded team names that change every year, but it's clear who the manager is. One manager pins his own name into real life clubs every year.
That's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, the one I was talking about, they have a theme every year. I think it was like classic movies last season and stuff like that. And all the managers have to come up with the name with that year's theme. That's fun, I think.
And I was just thinking of one of my, I used to be in an NFL fantasy league for several years, and I picked this obscure movie that I love, and every year I would just, my team name would be one of a random character from that, to the point where I ran out of them, and so I left the league. But for other purposes, I could have found an extra or somebody.
What is the movie?
Dead Man on Campus.
Dead Man on Campus.
Yeah, classic. Has Mark Paul Gosselaar, better known as Zach Morris, a few other fan favorites. It's a good movie. It's funny.
We'll need to check it out and feature it on our classic, very obscure movies pod.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is it for our listener questions. let's wrap up our discussions with GW16 punts. Unfortunately, I deleted your tab before you um, arrived, Sanji. So you're gonna have to wing it.
Do it
not
live.
start. Do it live. Do it live. Do you want to start, Sanji, with your punts?
No, I'll let you guys go because I don't want to end up picking your picks, right? So
Let's do that. So Ryan, tell us about your Game Week 16 streamers.
Very happy with Pablito Sarabia. Finally got to start 15.5 ghosts. Loved it. I don't know if O'Neill is gonna rotate him back out this weekend. If he does, it might be Bellegarde. So I like kind of having that cuff going into that that Saturday morning game. So I think going against
you drop him if he doesn't start.
If I needed to, I don't think he's an absolute must hold, especially with Neto coming back. It'd be a nice to have for the festive season, but yeah, if you need to, I think you can drop him. But yeah, Forest are in such bad form, especially away from home. That's a good game for streamers with Wolves at home to Forest. So yeah, JPG, you'd think that especially with some additional injuries that he'd get back into. Yeah, that's a typo versus Burnley. They face Brighton, I believe. He should be getting back into the starting lineup, you would think. And even though Brighton are good in possession, they always give up a goal or two. So and he goes usually pretty well with set pieces. So, and he should be on the wire based off of the fact that he hasn't started the last two. So he's a decent shout. McBurney coming back after his 1 game ban. Wilder back at the helm. He might go back to the mountain of a man. And yeah, Brentford at home isn't the worst matchup for him. So if he doesn't get you a return, some aerials are probably on the menu. And yeah, riding with Fulham on their hot streak at home to West Ham. So yeah, Kearney or Harry Wilson probably get one of those spots and have a chance to keep the run going. So those are my picks.
Nice. Can't argue with any of those. It's going to be interesting to see how Wilder uses McBurney, if he has a different role to what we've seen in a very limited number of starts under Hackingbottom. So definitely want to keep an eye on there. Mine are mostly players that we had already mentioned. Sinistera is still criminally under rostered, even though he started his first game last game week. So he's, I think, 17% rostered or something like that. He definitely should be picked up. Bournemouth have a decent upcoming run. Semenyo and Otara are leaving for AFCON in a few game weeks, so that helps Sinistera's value. Second one is Jakob Brun Larsen against Brighton. Brighton might just make it the whole season without keeping a clean sheet, and Larsen is one of the Burnley attackers that could be decent. He scored a goal in the midweek, so yeah, definitely a good one. Mbomo's injury, we already talked about this. I've heard and I've read that Thomas Frank actually likes Saman Ghoddos a fair bit, and he always kept him around even when he wasn't getting close to the first team. He has a soft spot for him, so he might get a few starts here and there, and it's Sheffield United, so definitely start whoever starts in place of Mbomo. And Vitaly Janelt, I know we talked about him. We discussed him. We had cold feet when he started in the back line, and then has been balling out of his mind since his switch to the back line. So definitely start him against Sheffield United.
Hasn't Gatos been playing as like a right back? Am I making that up? But even though he's listed as a forward?
I'll need to check that, but isn't Vroslav playing right back?
Let's check that.
This is good content here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought Gatos was as a right back, but yeah. No, it's okay. You can move on.
He's listed on the Sofa score as playing left back, but I believe it was Janelt who played left back.
Yeah, Janelt's been at left back. I thought Gatos was at right back, but
He was.
I think he was versus Luton.
He was versus Luton.
Yeah.
So Thomas Frank is doing a De Zerbi by and the Potter rather by starting.
but he
players.
but he
all
has
over the
to.
place. Yeah, he has to.
as opposed to just being a dick.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I like most of the Sheffield United players or the Brentford players against Sheffield United. So you can substitute in Lewis Potter instead of Goddess. Then that's probably more likely to see him and Wissa back in. So we'll see who starts. But there are few players who I wouldn't start from Brentford there. What about you, Sanji? Have you come up with a few streamers?
Yeah, so I mean, the way I kind of look at it at this point of the season, because we've had so many games back to back, I kind of like looking at form tables a lot of the time. So one of those sites I use is Soccer Stats, and you can find like last 4, last 6, last 8, or whatever. So like, for example, last 4 teams, if you look at the teams that I guess who have been conceding goals, Nottingham Forest conceded 12, I think, in their last 4. Sheffield conceded 11, obviously. Chelsea conceded 12. So I mean, if I'm looking at like Forest, I think things don't seem to be going well for them. I'm probably gonna target some Wolves assets this game week. Like Daniel Bentley got the start in net, and he rewarded managers immediately. I think he got like a 14-point haul or something like that. So I mean, if he's starting again, I don't mind that pick at all. Or maybe one of their defenders. Like looking at Nelson Semedo, Dawson, we know has goal threat every now and then. Hugo Bueno got the start this game week as well. I think he's shown his ability to kind of ghost every now and then. I mean, speaking of goalkeepers that have gotten their spots or chance to start, Lucas Fabianski, I think, was a surprise name that was on team sheets this evening, because I think Areola had a wrist injury or something like that. I know, like, it's not an exciting pick, but there's a lot of well-owned goalkeepers that have been shitting the bed recently as well, right? So if you're a frustrated manager, you're making to look that switch. I mean, Fabianski, it's not a bad option away to Fulham. I know Fulham thumped Forest 5-0, but I think that's also more so like Forest being shit than actually Fulham being great. Who else is there? Like, in terms of assets to stream against Chelsea, like, I mean, if you think Everton can keep a clean sheet, Jared Barnthwaite is worth a shout. Did Ashley Young play out of position this evening as well? He put up a massive, I think, 20 ghost points or something like that. Because Coleman started tonight as well, right? Yeah.
But Coleman came off early, and Nathan Patterson came on.
Yeah, Nathan Patterson came on, got an assist. Like, Man, Everton got docked 10 points and they came back with a bang immediately, already outside the bottom three. Like, I mean, if they win that appeal, it'll be crazy to see how far high up that table that they jump as well. Other teams that you could maybe target for a stream this game week, I don't know, it's a tough one, man. Like, you guys have picked all the good ones, to be honest. I mean, Bournemouth defenders, like, it's a weird one. Like, I don't know. I still think United should, but like the thing is, I know we're talking about for the next game week, but the weeks after that, Bournemouth still have a good couple of fixtures. So I mean, if you're looking at defenders, Totti, you and I streamed Kirkes this week, right? He didn't get like a massive haul, but like the players like Senesi, Zabarni are ghosting well enough as well to go with their clean sheet. I know Senesi got a goal, and that probably helped his 20 points score this game week. Other defenders you could maybe stream. Adara Bioyo was a well-known ghoster last season. I don't know if I trusted this season. I don't know. I'd probably lean towards more the Bournemouth options. Chris Richards, another name that popped up, scored well last game week, but not this game week. So it's just someone that names to keep an eye on, because I think past few pods that we've done as well, and they're quite recent, so I think they're still a bit applicable. You know, we suggested names like Neil. Who else was on there? Trying to recall some of them. I mean, Ross is still under 30, which is baffling, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think I suggested enough names. It could also be a lineup call, right?
Yeah, there's going to be just like we had a few teams rotate in the midweek, but we had a fair few keep plugging along with the same 11. So there's going to be rotation at the weekend as well, and there's going to be some high upside plays that we are not expecting to start, but will still start. What about an Armando Broya?
I don't know, man. I would just the points you get from Chelsea assets are just as unpredictable as the results that a Chelsea fan are expecting from the club at the moment. I'd look elsewhere.
Yeah, but we're talking about streamers at this point, so.
Yeah, but Goodison Park looks solid at the moment. Everton looks solid. Like, Broya is not a good ghoster as well. Like, you're purely banking on attack and returns. I don't think I've seen enough from him coming off the bench to warrant a start as well. But yeah, it's
I get it.
tough
I
one.
get it. I wouldn't pick him up. It's just food for thought. Is that Yuri Zhirkov behind you?
Yeah. I figured I'd also go with a picture that has a ball in it, because I'm playing in a five-a-side tournament with other fantasy creators and stuff like that this weekend. So I'm going to be representing TDS/Banta. Had a practice game today, so went okay. No injury. So
No injury. That's the main thing. Went okay.
Yeah.
I was able to come off at the end of the session with nothing hurting.
Exactly right. So now the plan is
my
to score goals
usual
and hopefully win a trophy. So let's see.
I mean, yeah, you're doing practice games before big tournaments. That is very young person of you. What are you guys' plans for the weekend outside of just manically refreshing your phones for fan tracks?
I was supposed to be going to Guatemala for a little B-Day trip, but that's not going to happen anymore. So yeah, just going to stay put, watch some footy. I'm going to go out with some friends on Monday night for my birthday, which is on Tuesday. So, yeah, just stay here in the cold.
Shame about the Guatemala trip falling through.
Yeah, I was able to get almost everything refunded, which was nice. So yeah, we'll try to reschedule in January or something. But yeah, it's looking forward to taking some time off. But oh well.
What about you, Sanji?
I'm gonna try and not refresh my phone this weekend. Actually, it'd be nice to not be obsessed with fan tracks for a little bit, especially after 3 game weeks in 1 week. So I've got like a meeting like it's that time of the month, right? Christmas, everyone's trying to meet up before the actual holidays. So just dinners with friends, spending time with extended family, the football tournament. I think I'm just gonna set lineups and look at the score at the end of the day, sort of thing. Try to
It's a
catch
nice
a game
feeling.
or two as well. What'd you say, Ryan?
It's a nice feeling. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't as you guys know, when we met up, I don't like doing the live watching. It's just nerve wracking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
set your lineup and let go and let God.
I tried
Exactly.
that actually this weekend, and it was refreshing.
Yeah.
It's nice, isn't it? Just get it all in one fell swoop.
I was tempted to sort of just gonna check, just
Mm.
one score, just the one league. But then
Nah.
when you fight that urge, then yeah, it's good. It's good fun.
Sometimes also the less you touch your phone, the better you do in game weeks. I find as well. When you look at it constantly, like the
can't-
pot
can't
never
attest to
boils,
that.
man.
That like 5 to 10 seconds when you haven't checked it and you're getting it all in one fell swoop when it's loading, it's just like the heart palpitations, like the
Yeah.
suspense. Yeah, it's fun.
Oh.
We still check the actual scores, so you know the goal scorers and the sisters and stuff like that.
No, I want to get a clean break. I'll watch the extended highlights later if I'm not going to be watching the games. Then yeah, I like to get it all in one fell swoop.
That's next level. I still have the notifications on.
Yeah,
I'm only
can't do it.
I'm only ghosting the ghost points.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Surprised you didn't say anything about my background.
It's because he's not wearing a Man City jersey, right?
Yeah.
There's no
Who's
point
that?
in
Who's that?
this
It's
argument.
Anakin Skywalker, as opposed to Darth, who he turned into. So it's a different person.
Pour one out for Dribbly Grealish. Still don't understand how you can get one of the best dribblers in the EPL to your team, teach him not to dribble, and then a year and a half later, 2 years later, get one of the best dribblers in the French league and just tell him to dribble the.
Just to have fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. It's Pep.
Pep. Okay, let's wrap it up there. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, listeners, for listening. Viewers for viewing. Hopefully, Joe will be back next week from his sophisticated vacation.
Sabbatical.
Sabbatical, yeah. And then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming, probably Wednesday next week.
We should bring the pub quiz back, now that I'm thinking about it. Nice little change of pace.
Yeah, we should. We'll get that happening hopefully next week. Thank you for listening. See you guys. Have a good weekend. Don't forget that there is a game on Friday.
What?